Welcome to Portcharles, where the drama runs deep. Doctors and nurses with secrets they keep. Business tycoons and the mob shady deals. General Hospital, where every heart feels.
Spoilers unleashed for December 1st through the 5th.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you thought Portcharles couldn't possibly get more volatile, well, think again. Today we are analyzing the shockwave from the sudden and, truly bizarre return of a character that so many fans had, definitively mourned. Detective Nathan West.
Yeah, this isn't just a simple character comeback. It's more like a narrative reset button got dropped right in the middle of all the chaos in Portcharles.
Right.
We are currently in Thanksgiving week. Drew and Willow are on their, second wedding attempt?
Second attempt.
And Nathan West, a man who was killed 7 years ago, is somehow back on the job. So our mission today is pretty clear. We need to trace his incredibly messy family history.
Oh, it's a mess.
Analyze the very specific way they handled his 2025 resurrection, and most importantly, we have to look at the immediate impact. The way his presence is destabilizing everything, especially his investigation into who shot Drew Kane.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, just for anyone who might be catching up. The character of Nathan West, played by Ryan Paevey, was a huge figure on the show from 2013 to 2018.
He really was.
And his death felt so final. It was tragic, it was heartbreaking. But then, less than 3 months ago, September 2025, Paevey is back in the role.
And this return is so fresh. It's already fueling the biggest storyline, and it's generating these massive, game-changing spoilers for this week, the week of December 1st.
Okay, so to really get the weight of his return, you have to understand this central contradiction about him.
He was the heroic detective, right? Total dedication to law, this really rigid moral compass. But he became that way almost in spite of his family, which was, to put it mildly, just a well of secrets and villainy.
It's amazing, isn't it, that a character known for being such a straight shooter came from those roots. So let's try and unravel that spaghetti bowl of a family tree, starting with the big one. His biological parents.
Right. So Nathan West was the biological son of the legendary psychopath Cesar Hisson.
Unbelievable.
And the, let's say, often calculating Dr. Liesl Obrecht. That pairing alone is a recipe for disaster. But the big twist is he wasn't raised by either of them.
No, he was raised by Liesl's estranged sister, Madeline Reeves, who he thought was his biological mother. And this whole setup created instant conflict when he first showed up in Portcharles.
Yeah.
Walk us through that because it really sets the stage for his whole character.
Well, when Nathan first arrived, his main focus was investigating the attempted murder of Nina Reeves. And he was convinced that his brother-in-law, Silas Clay, was guilty.
And he was working for his mother, Madeline, at the time.
Exactly. He was working diligently on her behalf, trying to lock Silas up. And this is where you get that classic soap irony, because the man who is so committed to the law was actually working for the criminal.
The ultimate twist.
Precisely. Madeline Reeves was the real culprit. She was the one who drugged Nina to try and kill her unborn child. And this reveal just forced Nathan to face this horrible reality that the woman who raised him, who he thought was guiding him toward justice, was a complete sociopath.
Which meant Nathan, our detective, with the super rigid moral compass, had to do the one thing he probably never imagined. He had to arrest the only mother he'd ever known.
And that arrest, that one act, set off this whole cascade of revelations about his background. Madeline wasn't his mother, she was his aunt. The woman he always seen as kind of unstable, Liesl Obrecht, was his actual biological mother.
Wow.
So if you connect all the dots, this instant family swap from what he thought was a normal, if a little controlling family, to this dynasty of European villains, it just saddled him with one of the most complex legacies in Portcharles history.
It also meant he suddenly had these highly dysfunctional half-siblings, Britt Westbourne and Peter August, both products of that Faison and Obrecht nightmare. And he's the adopted brother and cousin of Nina Reeves, depending on how you want to draw that chart.
Yeah, no wonder his moral code was so severe. His entire identity was based on this fundamental lie that was rooted in just secrets and villainy. He was the good egg that came out of the absolute worst nest.
And that struggle really fueled his dedication to being a cop. But okay, moving beyond the family mess, Nathan is just as defined by his romance with Maxie Jones. Maxie.
Oh, absolutely. The fans adored them, and that relationship was what really grounded him.
It was a classic slow burn.
It really was. You had Nathan, the, hard-nosed, practical cop, and then Maxie, who is just charming and chaotic and always getting into trouble. Their relationship really started to take root when Nathan clashed with her manipulative boyfriend at the time, Levi Dunkelman. It set up this really satisfying love triangle.
And this is where you see his true hero status, because Nathan was willing to compromise everything he believed in, his entire identity as a lawman for her.
100%. He committed perjury for Maxie to protect her, which just proved that, his dedication to the law was high, but his dedication to Maxie was even higher.
And then it all came to a head with Levi.
It did. The climax was when Levi and his father kidnapped Maxie and Lulu. Nathan tracked them down, there was a shootout, and Nathan and Maxie both ended up killing Levi and his father during the rescue. He risked everything for her.
So they finally get married in early 2017. And then on Thanksgiving of all days, Maxie reveals she's pregnant. That was like peak happiness for them.
It was. But as Ryan Paevey, the actor, once said, peak happiness in Portcharles is basically just the starter pistol for tragedy. And that clock ran out really fast.
It really did.
The tragic climax came in 2018 when his biological father, Cesar Faison, came back to cause as much damage as possible. Nathan was shot by Faison, and right after telling Maxie he loved her one last time, he died in recovery.
And it felt so final.
It was. Maxie named their son James, which was Nathan's given name. For 7 years, that was the end of the story.
And now, we pivot to the absolute shock in 2025. 7 years of mourning, his son is growing up without him, and then boom, Nathan West is back.
Let's really dive into the narrative trick they're using here, because it's not a simple recovery. No, the return in September 2025 it's engineered specifically for plot. So Nathan is brought to General Hospital as a car crash victim. When he wakes up, he physically looks like Nathan, but, and this is the genius of it, he has dense retrograde amnesia.
So he has no memory of the last 7 years since Faison shot him.
Exactly. So he remembers all the messy stuff before, like his green card marriage and fighting with his family, but he doesn't remember rescuing Maxie, their wedding, or the birth of his son, James. He's a good cop, but he's been, emotionally sterilized.
And that's where the brilliance of this plot comes in, right?
Oh, for sure. The genius of the amnesia is that it lets the writers use Nathan's moral rigidity, his dedication to the law, without any of the constraints of his emotional baggage. He's a clean, sharp instrument of justice, totally free from all the entanglements that define Portcharles.
So he remembers his police training, but not the immense personal cost of his past actions.
He remembers getting shot, but not the life he died to protect. He's a husband and a father with a giant black hole where those memories should be. And yet, this amnesiac good guy is put right back on the job as a detective.
A high-speed vehicle with no brakes.
Exactly. And he jumps straight into the biggest case they have, the shooting of Drew King. And this is why his return is causing instant chaos. It's happening at the same time as this already tense Thanksgiving and the very volatile Drew and Willow wedding week.
Okay, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. We have a ton of sources suggesting Nathan is laser focused, and he has decided the investigation should bring the attention back to Curtis Ashford.
And the timing for Curtis could not be worse. On Monday, December 1st, which is Thanksgiving Day in Portcharles, the sources all point to Nathan tracking down and getting ready to question a suspect.
And the implication is strong that it's Curtis.
Very strong. And we know Curtis is hosting this huge family Thanksgiving that same day. Marshall, Stella, Trina, her boyfriend Kai. It's all set up to be a disaster.
Yeah, it's catastrophic. We also know Trina is set for a massive shock on Monday. Now, some people think it's a pregnancy reveal, but the shock could very well be Nathan, the amnesiac cop, hauling her dad into the PCPD right in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner.
And we know Kai is there for Trina later in the week, which suggests some serious family turmoil that's caused by, an outside event like a criminal investigation.
Okay, I hear the argument for Curtis being the target, but couldn't that just be convenient misdirection? I mean, isn't Nathan, with his newly reset, rigid moral code, the most likely person to accidentally uncover that maybe Willow herself was involved?
That's a really good question.
And that would make the wedding implode from the inside, not the outside.
It would. I mean, if we look at the pressure points, Nathan focusing on Curtis creates this high-stakes external drama for the Ashford family. But if he, through his objective, memory-free investigation, stumbled on some kind of internal complicity, like the messy fallout from the Drew and Willow affair back in 2024, that would be so much more explosive for the wedding.
And for anyone who needs a quick refresher on that, the affair was revealed right after Willow's bone marrow transplant, creating this intense conflict, especially with Carly, who covered for them. So Willow is walking down the aisle with a ton of unresolved guilt.
Exactly. She already has serious cold feet about marrying Drew again. The first attempt fell apart because of her inner turmoil, and now, right before the second ceremony, Nina comes in with this bold offer saying they can walk out of here right now.
And Willow has a big decision to make on Tuesday.
So Nathan's relentless pursuit of justice, even if it's pointed at Curtis for now, is just looming over this whole incredibly volatile situation.
So I have a bride wrestling with massive uncertainty, a groom still recovering from being shot, and an amnesiac hero cop with none of his own emotional baggage pointing the finger at one of the town's key figures. All over Thanksgiving turkey.
It is peak Portcharles.
It really is.
It sets up Nathan not just as a returning hero, but as the pivot point for all these dramas. Whether Curtis is guilty or not doesn't even matter. Nathan's action throws the whole week into chaos. The writers brought this fan favorite back, stripped him of his personal history, and just made him the catalyst for a huge criminal storyline.
Okay, so that was a dense deep dive. We traced the entire wild ride of Nathan West, from being Faison's son to a hero cop, his tragic death, and now his no memory return, jumping right into the Drew Kane case.
And the immediate implication is that Nathan, the good guy, is now a dangerous, unstable force because he has no context. He's applying this black and white moral code to a town built on gray areas and family ties he doesn't even remember.
The irony is just
Immense.
It's huge. Nathan died protecting Maxie and his future son, James. Now he's back without that memory. And he's immediately poised to ruin the life of another man, Curtis, who is also trying to be a heroic father figure to his family. So, given that Nathan has no memory of the last 7 years, including his own son, how is his pursuit of justice going to be impacted when he doesn't even remember the messy history he's navigating? The real question isn't whether his straight shooter instincts win, but whether a man who's forgotten the weight of his own family, his own son, can really be trusted to deliver justice in a town where family always determines guilt. That's something for you to mull over as Portcharles descends into holiday chaos.